use of your two running backs. How excited are you to have those guys and actually see them on the field and see how you can work with them?
You know, they've both been as advertised, to say the least. And, you know, we kind of in each special teams period and kind of, they're not really involved in special teams very much. So it's time for us as the quarterbacks kind of really to keep developing them in the passing game and get all kinds of different ball handling. And, you know, we're under such time constraints in OTAs that time's been really valuable for us to kind of take them over there and just develop their skill sets in all facets of the game. So, you know, we just still feel that they're both interchangeable and they both can be real big assets in the passing game and in the running game. So I think it's been fun for both of them.
Are you at a same time like that similar skill set, or are you still just kind of feeling things out?
A little bit. I'd say we kind of, in the last 3 or 4 days, really felt like the whole offense just kind of conceptually was in. And so now kind of starting really yesterday and then through next week, we'll kind of put in some of those wrinkles and kind of those kind of things. We've really kept it, we've only had one team period a day or maybe one team period to walk through. So to kind of get into all that stuff, we really want to get the basics down. And then we've started installing some of those things, but we haven't repped them in a group setting as much.
How do you know things are going for you through the first part of OTAs and anything?
No, I think for the first part of OTAs, it's been really good. We feel like we've gotten most of the system in, you know, so now we've really coached it for a second or a third time. So we've been able to see kind of the growth from just like the learning the plays to actually kind of taking the techniques, applying to the plays and that kind of deal. So I feel like the guys are getting more comfortable in the offense and kind of everything we're asking them to do. So it's been good progress so far. Josh has had a great offseason, start with that, but he does have that kind of skill set, but he's not just, you know, he's got a, how do you say it? He's got really good ball skills for a big guy as well. So that kind of target, especially in the red zone, especially kind of on third downs and things like that, where he's more of a matchup, I think, than he was probably given credit for. So for us, we'd really love to get him in some of those one-on-one situations, especially against a backer. You know, he's got so much height and he's got really good ball skills. So that'd be something that we definitely are trying to add to his repertoire.
Along those lines, can he use his size to, like the way Antonio Gates did with the basketball background, to kind of box people out in one-on-one situations like that?
You know, I think Josh would very much like to be compared to Antonio Gates. I think it's a very that's an aggressive.
Just from that standpoint.
That'd be, you know, it'd be great. You know, I think there's certainly something to develop. There's something to work on there. You know, he's from that point of just a true size matchup, absolutely. You know, and then, you know, the Antonio Gates part, I'll let, when you guys talk to him, you guys can ask him about his basketball skills and ball skills in that regard. But yeah, he definitely has more matchup capabilities. And I think, you know, he's been healthy here this whole spring. And so you've really seen the route running, the different change of direction and kind of that body control for him take a leap so far in the situationally. You know, I think it's important for us right now to have as much depth as possible. So we want as many guys that can do as many jobs and not kind of be pigeonholed of Josh is this guy, Chig is this guy, you know, Nick Vanette, whatever, Thomas, all the guys are just, these are their roles. So in the off season, it's been more, let's see how much all of them can do. And at some point, I think you'd love to have, I think everybody would love to have, you know, Travis Kelce and say that this is our guy and those kind of things. But I think it's also important for us with the depth piece to keep building them up. And they're all young players, so I don't think we really want to limit right now what any of them can do in that regard.
Used to getting a lot of targets as well.
Yeah, every receiver is the same. You know, I don't think every receiver's ever said they've had too many targets. But it's been, you know, I think it's, we were kind of talking about them as a group the other day. As a group, none of them have any real deficiency. You know what I mean? Like, so there's not something you see and say, this guy can't do this, they can't do that. But like each one of them has kind of an elite trait, which you really want to maximize. You know, Calvin's got the great speed and, you know, burst off the ball and, you know, vertical change of direction. You know, Tyler's so smooth in and out of his cuts and kind of has a great understanding in the slot and kind of how to work coverages and in the system. And then DeAndre's got such, you know, he's probably got the strongest hands of anybody in the league. So it's great to have guys that are all good at everything, but they also have one thing you're like, okay, this is a advantage for us. So moving them around and kind of, you know, none of them are young, so we're not gonna try to, you know, blow them out here and try to, you know, do too much, but they've been able to show each one of their skill sets and kind of, we have some each day, a little bit targeted plays for each guy as we've been going.
What is young in the space for the
You know, I think there's a part of with his base, he's really as coachable of a quarterback, I think, as you could find. He takes all the instruction. He doesn't really fight you on anything. He's got ideas and, hey, this is why I'm doing this. And he's got a really unique, I'm not sure I've ever been around a guy who's so in touch with all of his mechanical things. He's very focused on it, and he has a really big understanding of it all. So he's got a reason for why he's done it, but then if we show him stuff on film or, hey, this is why, he takes it to heart like that. And you can see the intention out there of every time then he gets on the next day. It's been really impressive from that standpoint of, okay, they said this, let's do this, let's like make this my focus of the day. And he's done that every day without fail. So it's been really cool from that standpoint. But he's,
You see him talking out there as a rookie. Is that have you noticed that yourself?
well, JC has maybe the best energy of any person on this team. I mean, he is like he's out here all day. You know, here's a side story about JC. The day he signed his contract or something, we were sitting in our office, I was having a sandwich, and it's about to have a thunderstorm out here, and we look outside and I walk down the hallway. It's just JC out here by himself, you know, at 4:30 in the afternoon, hitting a sled, and, you know, so Brandon and I walked out, we're like, hey, you know, first of all, you can't be working on the field, you gotta go, and there's about to be a thunderstorm, and, you know, he's just like, oh, this is what I want to do, and so his energy is infectious from that standpoint. But I would say he's done a really nice job with his footwork. You know, playing left tackle in the NFL, it's a foot speed position, you know, and you're going up against the best athlete on defense. So he's done a really nice job, I think, improving that and just kind of playing under control. You know, he's so big and he's so strong, and he doesn't need to do a million different things to move people and to get himself in the right body position.
Now that you
know, he's just been more consistently accurate, right? So, you know, when you play with the base and you got your kind of feet and, you know, talk about being rooted in the ground, and then really there's just less variation how the throws come out. You know, when you're off kind of platform and off kilter like that, sometimes your arm angles get all off and he sails them or he'll drop, you know. And it's been not just with Will, we've been working on that with all three quarterbacks.
Beyond
So,
Will at the where have you seen maybe some leadership emerging on offense?
oh boy, that's Calvin has certainly been a guy who's, you know, been more vocal in the meetings and kind of taking a leadership role. You know, Tyler Boyd's done a really nice job with the young receivers, kind of taking him, and, you know, we only have so much meeting time. Hey, this is the system, this is something that worked for me when I was in Cincy learning this, or this is how I ran this route. So those two receivers have done a great job. You know, Lloyd kind of is I wouldn't say unspoken leader, but he's got kind of that really quiet, steadying presence for the group. And then I think the two running backs are kind of our energy starters from that right. So I think everybody's kind of feeling themselves out of what the leadership role is, but we've had a handful of guys step up in their own ways.
Is there one area?
Those things of, you know, hey, when the big plays are there, you got to make them. But he's done excellent for us, and he's really been versatile, being able to play inside and outside. So he's actually been rotating it at all three spots, and, you know, a lot of times he's been running with the ones because guys aren't there, and, you know, it's the off season, so it's voluntary. So he's been doing a really nice job, kind of plug and play in that standpoint.
I would categorize.
What's it like being back with him again now, and how much you think he's driven to kind of show, hey, I've worked that contract and still got it?
You know, I think Calvin was always driven, I would say, and then last year when I got with him in Jacksonville, I think there was some coming off the suspension, that drive, and want to show everybody he still got it and who he is as a person, as a player. And I'd say this year he just feels much more calm and settled a little bit, just from, you know, having played football recently rather than it had been, you know, a year plus. And his energy and just being around him, you guys see him, the way he works at practice, you know, the speed, and that's always great. But he's, as a person, it's just been kind of fun to be around him, and he's got a great attitude every day, and I think that's kind of the guy we knew we were getting. You know, we've done a decent amount of stuff at the line of scrimmage, so I think that's always challenging. Of, you know, you get a play in the huddle, we get there, and we give the quarterback some ability to check, or, you know, give the line to, you know, Lloyd and Will make a different call. And I think those things always, in the heat of the moment, communication's always the toughest, right? You're sitting there, you know, you got the music going. Our defense, you know, our defense is just as variable as ever. You know, Denard's brought this scheme where he's got people blitzing from everywhere and lining up all over the place. So we're getting a lot of so that communication, I think, has been the best part, but also the most challenging part, because it's all we talk about in our meetings is communication. The number one thing is, you know, quarterback to receiver, coach to player, player to player. That's almost every clip we talk about. Hey, what are we talking about here? What's the call? What's this? How'd you adjust it? What'd you see? How'd you let them know you saw it? So that part of it's probably a little cumbersome of that, but that's been the good and the bad. So I think we both.
You touched on Cal.
Couple more.
Pivotal is major growth and a major step forward in the second year of the process.
Yeah, I think there's some point the second year is, you know, contractually, it's always great for, you know, that's a kind of a big picture for us. You know, we're really looking at it just, we've been with them a couple months. Everything we've seen from a growth standpoint from day one to today has been awesome. And but yeah, everybody wants to see growth. I think either in this league, you're either growing or you're either getting better or you're not, and they're going to find somebody to replace you that way. But he's been doing great, so we have no thoughts really.
What's kind of been the smoothest, you think, in terms of guys learning a new offense and